Welcome to Love in the Wild, the podcast where healing gets real, dating can be complicated, and self-love is the main character energy we're all here for. I'm your host, Katelyn Ansari, recovering people pleaser, expert red flag spotter, and your personal cheerleader through every glow-up, breakdown, and late-night overthinking spiral. Every week, we're diving into love, heartbreak, boundaries, and the wild ride of becoming that girl. Healed, happy, and unbothered. So grab your matcha, your journal, or just your AirPods, because around here, we don't chase love, we become it. We are continuing with the vulnerability of this podcast, and we're talking about the elephant in the room. So what do you do when your love life becomes a viral moment and you break up publicly? So this might be a little bit of a lackluster episode because I will not go into the details of why we broke up, but I do want to shed some light as it relates to this podcast because it really is about self-love and healing and finding love. So, I posted a video and it went so viral. It actually gave me a ton of anxiety as it continued to grow because I've been in the social media space for a really long time and I had never I've gotten the vanity metrics, as I like to call them, but I've never had the internet be so far on my side and being so interested in what I was doing to the point where, this is where my perfectionism comes in. I was like, what is going to happen next? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next. And then People magazine reaches out, and then we had another TV show reach out, and then we had another TV show reach out, and we had Inside Edition reach out wanting to do interviews. And, I had kind of been in the space before, but Trice never had. And we were really in it together and really supportive of one another. And having those talks along the way of do we want to take this interview? Do we not want to? Do we want to go on the Today Show? How are you feeling? It was a lot of check-ins. And I felt like it was such a healthy relationship because I, for the most part, had done the healing and I had become her. I had become the woman that I wanted to be. And I was showing up as myself in the relationship. And I don't think you can have a healthy relationship if the two people involved are not either on a healing journey or self-aware or, a safe place. And so that's one thing I really admired through this whole process of going viral and literally getting flown to New York City to be on the Today Show. Talk about not feeling like you were worthy of anything and then getting a call from the Today Show saying, we want to fly you out here because we loved your Home Depot story. So, it was quite a thing. And Trice and I really grew together in a lot of ways along that route. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it was really hard to make the final decision to go our separate ways because, I know we both had so much love for one another and we had built so much together. But at the end of the day, we wanted different things on a different timeline. And, both of us being divorced prior knew that was just going to lead to resentment. And we both really had that self-awareness to be hopeful that the other person might change in the right time, but also knowing that it wasn't fair to have both of us compromise who we are in the very important things and values and that we had and the timeline that we both had in mind for ourselves for the relationship. And that's hard. It's really hard to break up with somebody in general. I don't want to say like I broke up with him because it really was like a mutual breakup. And the few conversations we had preceding our breakup were very filled with love and respect for one another. There is truly no anger or resentment from either one of us. And we're both giving each other the space to heal and, you know, still coming at things from a place of love. And I look back on that relationship and it really feels good to have a healthy relationship under my belt, my tool belt. Gosh, I renovate too many houses and do too many DIYs, but it really does feel good to have a healthy relationship. And I know that this healing is working because I'm showing up healthier as well. And, from the last episode, being able to say no to things that don't necessarily fit and align with what you want right now. And that's okay. There have been a few like first dates that I've gone on where I thought the person was amazing. I thought the guy was amazing and fit most of the criteria in my box. But when I look back on it, I was trusting my intuition and saying, you know what, I don't think this is for me. And being able to say no because I know who I am and I know the kind of relationship that I want to pour into. And not to say that relationships don't grow, because the relationship with Trice and I did grow exponentially. We became such a part of each other's lives. And, it came down to us just wanting different things. And even though he was younger than I was, I think he was very secure in who he was. And he didn't necessarily need as much like therapy as I did because he showed up very healthy and he showed up very authentically himself. We both chose ourselves and we both chose love, and knowing that even though we were at different chapters in our books, not every relationship has to end because of something bad. It can just end because you guys aren't on the same path, and that's okay. So, dealing with a breakup publicly has been hard because, I do have those emotions like we talked about. You got to feel the emotions to get through them faster. And, not posting them because I still want to preserve his privacy and his peace. So really like leaning into friends and journaling. And I've always said like working out is my therapy too. Like once I'm in the gym and dancing, oh gosh, when I'm dancing or I'm at the gym, it's a mind off scenario where I can just let the day go away. And I promise you, having something like that is such a need in your healing journey. I think we all have like coping mechanisms. Like it's normal to have coping mechanisms, but it's the unhealthy ones, right? Like, like they say when people stop smoking cigarettes, then they get this like different oral fixation and then they start like chewing gum or they start, like eating more or like drinking soda or whatever. Like you have to replace your mindset with other things that'll help you cope with it a little bit more. But that's really the only time I'm ever going to kind of talk about our relationship. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but to say that I'm really proud of like my own healing journey and being able to look at it from a bird's eye view and say, even though the love is there, and if you listen to the first episode, I'm such a like love chaser, or used to be such a love chaser, that would have been enough for me. Like I got all the attention and love that I needed, but that's not my priority anymore. Like, I've healed past that. So that's where I decided to take this podcast because, originally it was going to be a podcast that he and I were going to not necessarily coach people to a healthy relationship. And I think we had so many great ideas, but it turned into like a self-love, becoming her podcast. And in the craziness of the world, being able to love yourself the most and then be able to show up healthy in a relationship after that is the icing on the cake. So, this isn't about finding the one, it's about becoming her. So make sure that you're following along at Katelyn Ansari, at Love in the Wild podcast. DM me your story. Ask me any questions in the DMs. Share a story on your stories. Let's keep building this community because we're girls. We're supposed to be cheering each other on through the happiness, the sadness, and all the in between. Thanks for listening. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Love in the Wild. If you laughed, nodded, cried, or texted your bestie mid-episode, you already know the drill. Don't keep it to yourself. Leave a review, share it in your stories, and tag me at Katelyn Ansari so I can hype you up right back. Remember, healing isn't linear, dating isn't a sport, and you're doing better than you think. Be soft, stay unbreakable, and I'll see you next week.